Hey everybody, it's Emily at Arc Schooling, and we're going to be reading some middle grade. So I had this idea for this vlog for a while now, and I decided I'm just going to go for it. I don't know. Part of me is a little bit scared that I'm not going to have the time to devote to this that I want to. But you know what? We're going to try anyway. So here's my plan. Maybe you've never heard of the Cybils Awards, but every year for I don't even know how long. I feel like forever, but every year for the last several years, there's an awards for children's literature, and it covers picture books, it covers all the way through up to young adult, and they have various categories. And I always think, wouldn't it be fun to be a judge? I get to choose the books that win, and this year I got to live vicariously through Sarah, who is a judge for the young adult round. And there's two rounds. There's the nominee round, and then there's the finals. So Sarah was a nominee round judge, and that means that any book that got nominated, she had to try to read. And there's, I want to say, like maybe 5 or 6 judges, and they just had to read like as many titles as possible that were nominated so that everything would be read, and then they would come up with their short list, and everyone would like work together to build the short list. And it was just this wild, like, chaotic time, and I thought, well, that looks fun, but I just could not do that round because there's just too many books, and I would never, like, I don't know. It looked exciting and fun. And then the second round is the judges have to read those final books. They narrow it down to 7 books in each category. So if I were to be a Sybils judge, which I am not, I have nothing to do with Sybils except just admiring from a distance. But if I were to be a judge, I would probably choose to judge the middle grade because that's something that I'm passionate about, and I like to read middle grade, and I just feel like I would want to do that. So what I did was I went and looked up the finalists that were announced at the beginning of the year, and I saw what was nominated for finals in the middle grade category and decided, you know what, we're just going to do this. I'm going to pretend that I am a Sybils judge, and I'm going to read all 7 books, and I'm going to tell you guys which one I think should win, and then we'll see if I'm right. That's the gist of this video. I'm going to read 7 middle grade titles over the next like 6 weeks. I think they announced the winner around Valentine's Day. I'm going to see what happens if I'm right, if I pick the winning book. So let's talk about the titles. I already owned 2 of the 7, so I have those here. I have Show Me a Sign by Anne-Claire Lizotte. This was already on my radar, obviously. I already own it. And I've been really interested to pick it up because it just sounds very unique. This is a book that takes place on the island of Martha's Vineyard, and I believe it takes place in the 1940s and has to do with experimentation on the deaf community. Like everyone in this island is deaf, and they're trying to figure out why and understand more about that, and it just sounds really interesting. And I've been really wanting to pick it up, so I'm super excited it got listed as a finalist. And then I also have From the Desk of Zoe Washington by Janae Marks, which is another book that has been like high on my list of things I need to pick up. This is a story about criminal justice. I believe it's about a girl whose father is imprisoned unjustly, and she's trying to help him. She knows he's innocent, and she's trying to work to like prove his innocence and save him from a life in prison. So it just sounds really great, and I've been really wanting to pick this up. So these 2 I already had, and then I went ahead and ordered the rest of the books so that I would have all 7 titles to read over the next few weeks. So I'm just gonna unpack this box with all the books in it. I'm sorry for the chaotic noise. So let's talk about what else is in this stack. So we have Efren Divided by Ernesto Cisneros, and I know nothing about this book. And it's about a boy named Efren who is in America, and he's American born, but his parents are undocumented, and so this is about like him worrying about that, and I think one of his parents or both of his parents, I'm not sure, get deported. And so this sounds very timely and important. And I believe it's also own voices, so I'm really excited to read that. Then I have King and the Dragonflies by Case and Callender. I have been needing to read a book by Case and Callender for a while now. Sarah read Hurricane Child ages ago and has been telling me I need to pick it up. I just haven't gotten to it, and I keep seeing everyone rave about their books, and I haven't read anything. So I'm finally going to remedy that, and I'm going to read King and the Dragonflies, which I know nothing about. Again, like, I've heard good things, but I don't really know what this is about, besides it takes place in the bayou. So King is sure that his brother Khalid has turned into a dragonfly after Khalid unexpectedly passed away. He shed his first skin for another and found refuge in the backwaters of their small Louisiana town. Khalid still visits in dreams. A secret king must keep to himself that and the fact that he might be gay. As King watches grief transform his family, he comes to understand the beauty and redemption of learning to fly past the secrets that keep him from rising to his truest self. So this sounds beautiful, and I'm sure that I'm gonna probably cry. Then I have Land of the Cranes by Ada Salazar, and this is just a beautiful cover. Like, can you even just admire that for a minute? It's gorgeous. So this is another book I'd never heard of. Like, I thought I was up on my middle grade, but clearly not. This is a story about a girl who's, I think, yeah, she's, okay, so this one is about a girl who's come to America seeking refuge from wars in Mexico, and they end up in a detention camp. So, very timely. Sounds like it's going to be another, oh, and it's in verse, so this will be really fast to read too, and it's, again, it's probably going to make me cry just looking at the cover. I'm like already feeling emotions. So, that's going to be great. Then I have a new book by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley, which I vaguely remembered that she had a book out this year, or last year, since 2020, but I just kind of forgot all about it. So when I saw it was a finalist, I might have gotten very excited because now I have an excuse to buy it and read it. So this, all I know is it's about two sisters, and it's about the stigma around sexual abuse of children. And it's, again, this whole stack is going to just be nothing but me sobbing, I think, because all of these books are very hard-hitting and emotional, and I'm here for it, honestly, but also I'm a little bit concerned about my emotional state. And then finally, I have Echo Mountain by Lauren Wolk, and again, I vaguely knew this was a thing. I just kind of forgot to look into it. I read Beyond the Bright Sea for a Family Reading Crate title, I think, last year, I think. And that's also by Lauren Wolk, and I loved it. I thought it was beautiful, and so I'd been like thinking I should look for more of her work. And so this, again, all I know, historical fiction, Great Depression. That's really all I know going into this. I'm really excited about it though, because if it's as good as Beyond the Bright Sea, then it's going to be excellent. I don't know how I'm going to narrow this down, because all of these books are going to be amazing. And this is honestly why I'm kind of afraid to like actually try to become a Sybils judge, because I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could make that kind of decision. Like, it seems very important for some reason. I mean, it is, but it's also not. But I'm excited about these books. I don't know what I'm going to read first. I need to start one of these tonight, because I gotta get through all 7 of these by early February, and it is now June. No. And it is now January 4th, so time is running out, and I feel like I need a rush. But I also have other things to read too. I think I'm going to start with Land of the Cranes, because it's in verse. I'm going to read it really fast. So this is where I'm going to start. And then I'll update you guys as I read a book. I'm not going to like update you in the middle of a book, because then this video will be endless. It's already 7 books. It's going to be a long video. I hope you guys are ready for the ride. But I'm going to go ahead and I'll update you as I finish each book and tell you about the book and my thoughts. And then at the end, I'm gonna choose my winner, and we'll see if I pick the same book as the actual judges. So, here we go. I finished this book today, and wow, I honestly don't know how I'm going to talk about this. I think it was done beautifully. I think the thing that I most appreciate about reading middle grade, especially middle grade contemporary like this, is the way it can approach something so devastating and sad and tragic, but portray it with an ounce of hope. And this book was definitely infused with a lot of hope, which I think is so important when you're talking about something so sad. This is a story about a girl whose father gets deported first. I think her parents are undocumented, and they've been in America for a while, and her father gets deported by ICE and sent back to Mexico. They had left Mexico because it was too dangerous for them to be there, and if they stayed, it was a good chance that her father was going to be murdered, so they needed to leave. And so 7 years later, her father is deported back to Mexico, and her mother and herself end up in a detention center at the border. And this story was just so sad and upsetting and frustrating to read, but so important. I think it's so important to put a face to this. It's hard to even fathom and visualize that something like this is even happening now in America. But reading a book like this, especially, it makes it just feel like a thing that's really happening. And it would be important, I would think, for children to have this kind of peg to put that to in their mind, to put a face to it. I don't know if I'm wording that the way I want to, but the writing in this is just gorgeous. It is a book in verse, which doesn't always work for me. Sometimes when I read a book in verse, I feel like I need more story to make it work for me. But I felt like this was one of those rare books in verse that it really worked beautifully. And the poetic language was just so great. There's a whole lot in the story about picture poems. The main character, Betita, draws these picture poems she learned about in school, and that's part of how they get the word out about what's happening to them, by her drawing all these picture poems about their experience and encouraging the people in the detention center with them to also make picture poems of their experience. And I just think that's such a brilliant idea, and I love how the author says that this is her long picture poem to try to get the word out about these experiences. And so I just, this was beautiful. I don't know how I'm going to do this. This is hard. I'm nervous now that I won't be able to choose a favorite. I picked this first because I thought it might end up being my least favorite, just because books in verse don't always work for me, but this was so good. I don't know what I'm going to pick up next, but I'm probably going to take a short break because I have some other things I need to work on. But when I come back with the next book, I'll let you guys know what I'm reading and my thoughts. But this was excellent. This is a 5-star book. I mean, easily. If they're all 5 stars, how am I going to narrow it down? I don't know. But I loved this, and I highly recommend it. It's been a minute since I worked on this video. I'm going to start reading King and the Dragonflies by Case and Callender. I had to take a break to do some other work, but I'm like really anxious to get back into my Sybils stack. So I'm going to read King and the Dragonflies. I've never read a Case and Calendar before. I own Hurricane Child, and I know Sarah's read that and keeps telling me I should pick it up, but I just haven't. And so I'm excited to read this. I know I want to say Kayla read this and gave it a 5-star. I've heard really great things about it. I know it has to do with grief and I think coming out. I believe the main character is gay and is sort of figuring that out over the course of the story. So I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it. I've heard Case and Calendar's writing is just gorgeous. So I'm excited to check it out. This is like the weirdest glare on my glasses. You can see, I can see myself. How am I going to do this? How will I pick? This was so good. It was just such a beautiful story. This is a coming out story of sorts, but it's more to do with grief and dealing with the ordeal of like your family finding out and how will they react to you being gay. And it's just so beautiful, so well written. I loved this. I loved this so much. This is maybe a perfect middle grade contemporary book. It's everything I would want in a middle grade story that is set in our contemporary world, if that makes sense. I don't know. I don't know how to say any more about this beyond like you should read it because it's just so well told and so well crafted and so beautifully written. And I adore King. He's just the sweetest little boy, and I just wanted to snuggle and hug him and tell him everything was going to be okay. Because the heart of the story really, like, I just being the mother of children who are gay, it means a lot to me to see parents acting positively, but also like showing them that they struggle a bit, but they still love their children and that sort of thing. So everything about this was wonderful and beautiful, and it's just such a great story. Highly recommend, 5 stars. I don't know. My whole plan here is going to fall apart if I can't pick a winner. So I don't know what I'm going to do if they're all this great. Like, that's the second 5-star in a row. I mean, obviously, I assume that the judges for the first round are picking the best of the best. Like, that makes sense. Of course they are. So I don't know if I could ever be a finalist judge. This is hard. And I'm only 2 books in. I still have 5 books to go. I don't know what I'm going to pick up next, but I'm feeling like I'm probably going to go with the Kimberly Brubaker Bradley book next because that book has been calling my name. I loved everything I've read so far by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley, and I've never read anything that she's written that is contemporary. So I'm really interested to see how she does that. So yeah, it's probably what I'm going to pick up next. So it's been a while, but I finally finished another book. I read Fighting Words by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley, and this book is just like so good, and I don't know what to do with myself now that I've read it. It's maybe one of the best middle grade books I've ever read, and also one that is just really hard to talk about and really hard for me to like explain who this book is for, because it's not a book I would hand to just any middle grade reader. It's very heavy. This talks about some really big, dark, heavy topics. Like we're covering sexual abuse, we're covering meth addiction, homelessness, like suicide attempts. It's just, this book is hard. And I think it's great. I think it's beautifully done. It's handled very well. Like it's great. Like, this is 5 stars. How could I not? But it was hard to read at times. It's beautiful. I'm very glad that I read it, and it's empowering. Della, the main character, goes through a lot, but she grows so much by the end of the book. And there's a great conversation about consent. So I think this, if you were going to share this with your child, I definitely would recommend doing that as a read aloud. This is not a book I would just hand to a kid to read. This is a book that I would definitely want to share, like, and talk through. I'm rambling now, but I loved that, and I'm so glad I read it. Like, and I would have picked it up anyway. This challenge that I've given myself to read the Cybils Finalists, I would have still read that. So it's not like it threw a book in my path that I might not have found otherwise, but I definitely picked it up sooner than I would have, because like I had no reason to pick that book up except that it's a Cybils finalist, so I was reading it because of that. But Kimberly Brubaker Bradley can do no wrong in my mind. Like, her books are just magical and important and full of such great conversation topics. Like, I love her writing so much. So, another 5-star. At this point, I don't know how I'm going to narrow this down to a winner, because they've all been so good and in such different ways. So I'm going to be reading From the Desk of Zoe Washington next. That's the book I chose, like, randomly from the stack. I'm like, okay, we're going to read this one next. I know this has to do with the criminal justice system and that sort of thing, but I don't know too much more than that. I think it's about a girl who, I want to say maybe her father is on, I don't know if he's on death row or if he's just wrongfully imprisoned, and she wants to prove his innocence, and so she learns about the criminal justice system and that sort of thing to help prove her father's innocence and get him out of jail. So I feel like this is going to be another hard-hitting 5-star read, but somehow I'm going to have to narrow this down. If I had to rank the 3 books I've read so far, I think this is impossibly hard, but I think I would go like this. Yeah. But I think it would basically be like this. I would have Fighting Words at the top, then Land of the Cranes, and then King and the Dragonflies, which they're all equally good. Like, I don't know, my ranking means nothing, but I'm trying to narrow. Like, so far Fighting Words has been my favorite of these 3, but also they're all amazing. So 4 more books to go, and then I'll have a winner, I guess, and we'll see if my winner is the same as the other Cybils judges. I'm vlogging from the floor. Hi, dog. He's my doggo. I'm hanging out with him, and it's too bright, so I'm gonna spin myself around because honestly you can barely see me. So, well, now there's just, let me set this up so I can just like, okay, let me set up my tripod so I can just sit here and chill out with my dog and tell you guys about From the Desk of Zoe Washington. So, I'm a mess, by the way. I'm sorry. Like, my hair, it's a mess today. Anyway, you can see my house is just in utter chaos because, this has been a really hard month. It's been madhouse here. My dog's really sick, and that's thrown everything into whack. And I'm just sort of in this weird space of, like, I don't know how to feel. He's here. He's still, like, eating and hanging out with us and playing and being, like, just a good dog. But his numbers say he's dying. So, like, it's a struggle. But I'm not gonna, that's not what this video is. I don't want to derail it too much. I'm just, chaos. Anyway, I just finished reading this, and it's another 5-star. Like, this is such a hard vlog. I don't know how anyone does these Cybils judge final. It's hard. I don't know how the judges do it, because I don't know how I could pick a favorite out of these. They're all so amazing. This is 5 stars. This book was really, really sweet. Like, It's just such a good story. This is about Zoe, who is being raised by her mother and her mother's new husband, but because her father is in prison because he was convicted of murder. And she's never really known anything about him besides that he's in prison for murder. She's never talked to him, never met him, nothing. And so when she turns 12 on her birthday, she gets a letter in the mail from him and strikes up this relationship and finds out that there's a chance that he's actually innocent and was wrongfully convicted. And so she's desperate to prove that and free her father from jail. It's a story about her, like, sort of just discovering her father and their relationship and how it grows throughout the story. And it's just about the fact that she's a baker, and so she talks tons about baking and cupcakes. And excuse my dog in the background, he's got a wicked cough. That's why we took him in the first place, because I thought he just had some kind of a cough of some kind, but that's not even, they never treated that, because I guess it's a symptom of all his kidney problems. Tangent again, back to the book. so hey sweetie. So she's talking about baking and working in a bakery and inventing a new cupcake flavor. And this story was just wonderful and is a little easy for the way everything worked out. Of course, it's middle grade. I went in expecting that this was going to have a happy ending, and it does. But you learn a lot about, like, how the criminal justice system can do people wrong sometimes and that sort of thing. This story was just done in such a great way. Zoe was a wonderful character. I loved following her through the story. I found pretty much everything to be pretty believable. I mean, sure, everything wraps up really easily, but it's middle grade, so I would expect that from a middle grade. It's not going to get into the nitty-gritty details of criminal justice and all of that, but it does get you thinking about stuff and maybe open your mind to the ideas that, like, maybe not everything works the way it's supposed to, and sometimes people in jail aren't supposed to be there. But I thought the way this book was written was great. I had all of the warm fuzzies. I just thought it was wonderful. So 5 stars. Also, because I know you are all excited like me, I got my copy of Game Changer today by Neal Shusterman, and I'm giddy. It's beautiful. I have it. I'm so excited. And it's just blue naked, but I like, oh, look at the spine. Oh, it's so pretty. I'm obsessed. I want to start it right now, but I can't because I need to go to the next book. So I got 3 books to go, and I don't know what to pick up now. I am running out of time very quickly because they announced the final winner on the 14th. Today is February 9th, so I don't know if I'm going to make this. My plan was that I was going to read these, tell you guys who I think the winner should be, and then, like, watch or whatever, see the actual winner live, and then tell you guys if we matched. I don't think I'm going to have these done by the 14th, but I'm going to still try. So I think I'm going to read Show Me a Sign now. I'll read you guys the synopsis because I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this book. It says, Mary Lambert has always felt safe and protected on her beloved island of Martha's Vineyard. Her great-great-grandfather was an early English settler and the first deaf islander. Now, over 100 years later, many people there, including Mary, are deaf, and nearly everyone can communicate in sign language. Mary has never felt isolated, and she's proud of her lineage. But recent events have delivered winds of change. Mary's brother died, leaving her family shattered. Tensions over land disputes are mounting between English settlers and the Wampanoag people, and a cunning young scientist has arrived, hoping to discover the origin of the island's prevalent deafness. His maniacal drive to find answers soon renders Mary a live specimen in a cruel experiment. Her struggle to save herself is at the core of this penetrating and poignant novel that probes our perceptions of ability and disability. It will make you forever question your own ideas about what is normal. That just made me so excited to pick this up again. I bought this a while back, I think when I was working on either levels 5 or 6, because I thought, knowing that it was historical fiction, perhaps it would fit somewhere, but I just never got to it. So I'm really looking forward to picking this up and reading it because I just think that the premise sounds amazing. So that's what I'm going to be reading next. I'll probably start it later today, and then I'll only have 2 left. Oh, hi, doggo. Hello. Here's Zildjian. I don't think you guys have gotten to see him too much because usually he's just under my tripod. But here he is. You can see where he was in the hospital and they just shave his little arm. Looks like he's wearing mittens on this paw. They also had to shave his belly. Yeah, they had to shave his little belly. So they had to do some ultrasound on him, on his kidneys, but he's still here kicking, aren't you? Are you still here? Yes, you are. He's my good boy. Yes, he is. He's a very sleepy boy. Hi. He does not like when I take his picture. He's trying so hard not to look at me. Huh? He's like, Mom, cut it out. Can't I nap? I have now finished reading Show Me a Sign. It took me all day. So, you guys, I don't know why it took me so long to read. But it was really, really good. This is another 5-star. I mean, I think at this point, they're all going to be 5-star reads. So it's just going to be a matter of, like, which one do I think is the best? So this story is about a little girl who lives on this island on Martha's Vineyard, and their community is full of deaf people, and it's something genetic. And they came from a place in England when they came to America where deafness was prevalent in their community. So it's just continued on this island. And they live in this isolated sort of community where everyone on the island, whether they hear or not, speaks with sign language. And they have their own specific sign language. I guess the Martha Vineyard sign language is what was used to develop American Sign Language. So that was really interesting to read about. I actually think this is the first book I've ever read that has a deaf protagonist, and it was written by a deaf author. And I thought that was really interesting and so interesting to read about. I liked the way she explains things and talks about her inability to hear not having anything to do with the rest of her body. There's a lot of talk in here about, like, scientists wanting to study the island and figure out why there's so many deaf people there, and she realizing for the first time in her life that being deaf is seen as, like, a disability by other people, whereas she's never seen it that way because that's just not how they treat it on this island. I don't know. It was a really interesting read, really well written. It did take me a little while to get into it, but I think it's just my life is really chaotic right now, and it's just hard for me to focus. So it's been crazy here. You guys saw Zildjian in the last clip I posted, and we sadly had to put him to sleep, and that was just a lot. That was a few days ago, and so yeah, it took me most of the week to read this. But I am trying to keep myself occupied and busy so I don't dwell, because I tend to dwell on things and make myself upset. I have 2 books left to go. I don't think I'm gonna, I know I'm not gonna finish these both before tomorrow when they announce the winners, which I think is gonna happen at like 9 o'clock in the morning. So I'm gonna unfollow the Cybils Awards on Instagram so I don't get spoiled. I'm gonna try to read these between today and tomorrow, but probably it's going to be more like Monday or Tuesday when I finish. I think I'm going to read Efren Divided next. I don't really know a whole lot about this, honestly, going in. Besides that, it has to do with a boy whose mother, I believe, gets deported to Mexico, and him dealing with the repercussions of that. I honestly don't know more than that. So I'm really interested to read this, and also to compare it to Land of the Cranes, which was the first book I read for this vlog, which also has to do with that subject matter. So I'm curious to see how it compares. If I had to predict right now, I would say that I think Fighting Words is going to win. It's the one I would choose, I think, of the ones I've read so far. That's the one I would choose because I think it's just such an important story and it's so well written, and I just think that's a great book. So if I had to pick a winner right now, I would say it would be Fighting Words, but I still have to get through these two. I have finished Efren Divided by Ernesto Cicernos, and it was a 5-star. This was very emotional and very sad. There was some hope towards the end, but overall, like, I feel like this was the most depressing of the books I've read so far for this. Basically, the story is about a little boy named Efren whose mother is deported, and they're trying to get her back, and it's just not working, and it's very frustrating and sad to read about. But also, I think this is a really important book, and it has a lot of great things to say about, like, the experience of immigrants, both legal and illegal. It has a lot to say about family and how to find happiness even when you don't have a lot, and that kind of thing. About making a difference. He's running for class president. There's a whole big discussion in here about, like, how can you make a change when you're just one person. So this is a really great story, and I think it's a really important read. If I compare it to Land of the Cranes, I think I liked Land of the Cranes a tiny bit more, just because the way it's written, the poetry of it was just so beautiful. So I think if I had to pick just one story like that, I would pick that. But I think this was excellent. This is such a great story. And I mean, not everyone gets the poetry, I guess, that you would be reading in Land of the Cranes, so I can understand liking this better than that. But for me, I think that one was a slightly better book. But it was still great. So I have one book left. I have Echo Mountain to get to now, and then I'll have finished all 7 of the books for Sybils finalists. They announced the awards yesterday. I have not seen it. I'm trying to remain unspoiled because I wanted to draw my own conclusion. But, like I said before, I think I've kind of picked a winner at this point without having finished the last book. This is kind of the order I've been putting them in as to how much I like them. So Fighting Words I still think is, like, the best, and I kind of suspect it might be the winner. And then From the Desk of Zoe Washington, then Show Me a Sign, then Land of the Cranes, then Efren Divided, and then King and the Dragonflies. So yeah, so that's my tentative ranking. So I'm gonna start reading this tonight, and I'm hoping to finish it by tomorrow so I can wrap this vlog up. So I'm not gonna read this. I sat down, I started it, and realized immediately this is a dog book, and I can't right now. So I just closed the book and went, no, I can't. I don't know if the dog dies, but I can't risk it right now, so I'm not gonna do this. I do want to read it sometime because I know Lauren Wolk is a wonderful writer. It's just not gonna be now. So I'm gonna put this away. Sarah has informed me that I've already read the winner anyway, so I'm not, like, messing anything up. So let's review my ranking. This is what I've done here. I have Fighting Words, Desk of Zoe Washington, Land of the Cranes, Show Me a Sign, King and the Dragonflies, and Efren Divided. This is my ranking of the 5-star books. I mean, they're all amazing. Like, I loved every one of them. So this is what I think the ranking should be and what I think the winners should be. So I am going to go right now. My goal is that I'm going to record this and add it into the video. I've never done that before, so if this doesn't work, I'm sorry. But I am going to try right now and go on my phone and look and see the winners, and we'll see if I'm right. We'll see if Fighting Words is the winner. I think it should be. I think this book is amazing. And something else I wanted to say, like, all 6 of these books, I think, are books that could be, like, the most important book to some child out there. Like, all of them are so important and so perfect for that one kid who really needs it. Like, I can see all of these being, like, books that become beloved favorite. I think they're all wonderful. I think you should definitely read all of them. So let us see who won. So I'm on the Sybils page right now. I'm at the Sybils and I'm gonna scroll and see who won the middle grade category. So I specifically only read the realistic fiction one. So, ooh, the speculative fiction is a book I've never heard of. Interesting. Okay. Ah, okay, so here we go. The middle grade fiction winner was not Fighting Words, which I threw on the floor, sorry, but From the Desk of Zoe Washington. So, I was so close. I said it was going to be one of those two. Like, those were my top two books, so, and I totally get why it won, even though I still think Fighting Words was like this much better. But like just that much. So my original ranking and the actual ranking, very, very similar, I think. I mean, I don't know what the second book was for them, but this was the actual winner of the Cybils Awards for the middle grade fiction category. It's amazing. You should go check it out. But also, like, all of them are just phenomenal books. Like, every single one of these I gave 5 stars because they're all just so good and so well written. I can't hold this. I'm like, wait, this is a terrible plan. But here, so all of these were excellent. I think you should go check them out and see what you think, but I highly recommend every single one of these books. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. This was fun, a little bit stressful. I don't know, would I do this again? This proved to me that I cannot handle being a Cybils judge, which I kind of knew, but I just, the stress I've had this past 6 weeks was just, I can't do this for real. But it was a lot of fun to pretend that I was a Cybils judge. So thanks for coming along with me, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Happy reading. Bye.